Good morning, my beautiful babes and babettes. I'm your resident active advocate, and this apparently is going to be the last sunny day of the fall. That's depressing. So today, I would like to round off my series on depression by addressing not only one's social community, not addressing the individual alone. I want today to address society on the issue of depression, and I mean particularly, quote, Western society, wherever that is. So, in Western society, there tends to be a very rigid delineation between that which is male and that which is female. And we don't know, collectively speaking, what to do with people who intersect the two. Western philosophy has always been about creating boxes of a kind. Everything is very clearly delineated, everything is very clearly understood because it seems like solid, understandable matter, right? With depression, however, those boxes fall away. A lot of the time, because depression is basically chronic apathy, people don't know how to express their emotions. People don't know what the acceptable range of emotion to express within the realm of depression is. And that only compounds the issue. In terms of the societal expectation around depression, it tends to be, oh, you're lazy, you're not trying hard enough, you're just being obstinate, you're not doing what you ought. And that's the box that we put depression in as a collective in order to understand it by our societal standard. The problem is our societal standard cannot be compatible with mental illness. I find that mental illness is better understood when we don't put it inside these boxes. Yes, it's very helpful to be able to medically define it, okay, because the use of certain medications can definitely ease the suffering of people with depression. So long as it's not drug resistant depression, there is such a thing, and I've heard it's not good, right? But that's what therapy is for, and that's why therapy is part of the medical realm, even though it is more, in my eyes, an expression of the social model than the medical model, because people are actually willing to talk, and that increases one's realm of understanding around an issue, rather than just saying, take this drug. But in terms of how society understands depression, we do tend to put it in that very negative box of you're not trying hard enough. As I have said before in this series, it is literally impossible to just throw off depression. Sorry for the snapping. Because depression makes it difficult to feel anything at all. And as I have also expressed, if you could just throw off depression, if you could just get rid of it at the drop of a hat or at a whim, you'd do it. Because depression is not a very easy way to live. And that is compounded by the societal expectation of people with depression being lazy and apathetic and good for nothing, basically. This is especially true when it comes to males. I'm going to start discussing the patriarchy, so bear with me. In our society, it is more acceptable for men to feel negative emotions as long as they are strong negative emotions, by which I mean anger, hate, wrath, aggression, not weak negative emotions, as in apathy, sadness, loneliness. Those are not, quote, acceptable for a male to feel. That's more acceptable for a female to feel because we are considered the more emotional, less rational gender or sex. People who intersect the two sexes, we don't know what to do with defining them because, as I say, Westerners like boxes. So it's like any deviation from the so-called norms. There's no such thing as normal. Thank you. Any deviation from these so-called norms causes a big problem of cognitive dissonance for us. Because how do we define this thing? What box do we put this thing in? And I don't just mean transgender people or intersex people. I mean people who are not expressing the quote proper emotions for their sex and for their gender. When it comes to males in particular, depression is looked upon as a form of chronic weakness because they're not being the strong male archetype that takes control and dominates the situation and the culture and the people around them. We all know that these things are bull. Come on, these things are bull. We have to evolve beyond this current adolescent understanding of you're in this box and we're in this box, and these are basically our cliques. We're turning society into cliques, and we've been doing this for hundreds and hundreds of years. We gotta stop that, because if we refuse to take people out of the boxes in which we put them, we're not going to be able to, quote, handle what's going on in their situation. Therefore, we're not going to be able to help, we're not going to be able to understand, and we're not going to be able to communicate. One of the primary factors of being human is the ability to communicate. That's a very, very important aspect of being human. It's the reason why we have survived this long. We have survived this long as a species because we are physically weaker than a lot of other animals through cooperation and intelligence. If we refuse to cooperate with one another, and if we refuse to understand one another, then we're being weak and stupid. And it's gonna end the species in a really bad way at some point. We're either going to self-destruct or we're going to fade out. It's better to burn out than to fade away, but I don't believe that either is a good idea for us. Kicking people out of our society who do not fit into these rigidly established boxes is not a good idea, because that just makes us weaker. We are only as strong as we are connected. We are only as strong as we are together. And refusing to accept people who don't conform to our expectations of what a human being, quote, should be, is a really dumb idea. So I'm advocating that we take the box, chuck it out the window, just get rid of it. Because it's going to be a lot easier to understand people on their individual level if we allow them to express what is going on their individual level. The reason why depression a lot of the time is expressed as apathy is because a lot of people don't know how to express what is going on inside their head, or feel that they are not permitted to express what is going on inside their head. That is extraordinarily unhealthy, and that's what's destroying the minds of these poor people with depression, and keeping them inside these boxes, which are effectively turning into cages. Don't cage yourself in based on society's expectations, and society, don't cage people in based on the expectations that you think you should have for them. It's time that we communicate with one another, form expectations based on the individual's experience rather than the collective experience we think they should be having. Society needs to evolve, and that is going to be the overall ease of depression. It's not a cure, because depression has medical causes as well. But without the external influence of you are weak, you are not good enough, you do not belong with us, without that stimulus, people are going to feel stronger because they are going to feel more accepted. They're going to feel as though they have a community of people around them who understand and love them, and that is what makes a human being strong. Thank you for your attention. That has been my wrap-up of my series on depression. I hope this has all been substantial and informative and good. I don't want to step outside of my quote box because I haven't really experienced depression. I just think that it's very important to understand the root causes and to be able to contend with those, because we're not going to get better unless we allow one another to express. On Monday, because I take weekends off, I am going to be starting a series on what I might call disability etiquette. How do you deal with people who are visibly disabled and who you may think need some form of help, but you don't know how to communicate on their level yet? So that's what I'm going to start teaching on Monday. And I hope that this has been helpful. Excuse me, my nose is itchy. And I'll see y'all on Monday. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Bye! Mwah!